Yes.
It's called Breathe. What was the motivation to write this book?
First of all, the motivation was money. I have a good proposal from the publishing house, and I felt like, especially on those days, it's hard to make money. I felt like was a good option. And then the second motivation, the reason I did, was the fact I've been passing for so many experiences, and those experiences make me grow as a man, make me feel like capable to seek for happiness in a much more proper way, and make sure also the development of my warrior tools, not only physical, technical, but also the mindset, the emotional, and also the spiritual aspect of acceptance, shows I've been through a lot, and give my exposure of my life, of things I did to resolve the matters. So it's a very special, I hope you like it, because if you don't like it, I don't have another life to tell you. But the tale of my life is basically on, my experience, my life on Rio, which is very, very unpredictable, very wild. My relationship with my father, my brothers, my growing up as a jiu-jitsu practitioner, my times of parties in Brazil, and so it's all my life, which I felt like even my mistakes I use to become a better person. So it was a process, an evolutionary process, which I'm very proud of it, because today, even though I'm physically destroyed, like my back is bad, I have so many injuries, I feel like I'm still using jiu-jitsu in a very proper way, through breathing, through visualization, through spiritual guidance, and I take all the information I have as a fighter to live my life, and know how important it is to live my life under those guidance, under those things I really believe and make a difference. And this exposes my life in a way to give people, through my experience, the options or the ideas to really may reinvent themselves and become better.
Last time I saw you, you were talking to me about your back. So your back is still bothering you?
Yeah, my back is going downhill since last time I saw you.
Really?
Yes, because I have no more bones and no more discs in between bones, so it's just bone to bone. I heard about stem cells, I heard about different things. My doctor said I have to do surgery. But at this point, I do exercise. I put myself with much less effort to practice jiu-jitsu and stuff, so I reduce my activities. And I start to live like an old man, It's just not exactly something I prefer. But with the mindset, you can just change things and give you pleasures and things you used to not have. Just today, my walking with the dog, something which give me a pleasure which I didn't have before, So I start to adapt myself to still be happy, to still be on top of my game, with less physicality, with less compromise with the, doing things. So I start to become more peaceful in my mind and my body.
Your father trained jiu-jitsu deep into his 90s, right?
Yes, not training,
gentle.
Showing, gentle, yes. This aspect, I still can do it. I cannot live without it. Showing positions, play on the mat, enhancing people's details, those things are priceless for me, and I will do this for the rest of my life. But I'm talking about my personal, surfing or practice, or, Crow invite me to practice with him. If I train in 5 minutes with him today, it's going to be 5 months of physiotherapy after. So things like that, I start to stay away from. But other than that, I'm okay.
So have you talked to any specialists about stem cells and whether or not they can help you?
Yes, stem cells, first are very cheap. It's not cheap.
Right.
And I still cashing in to go if I have to. I heard some good things about it. I'm not sure. But the last doctor I spoke with was a neurosurgeon. He said, in my case, it will be hard to create new tissues and new discs and creating spaces again. My process of degeneration is very, very aggressive. So he suggests me a surgery, a fusion of vertebrae and stuff, which I feel like even though if I fix one, the damage in the other vertebrae can get worse then. So I just try to keep a mellow life and start to feel like those injuries become like a gift from God, you know. It's something which I milk my body so much, I have to pay the bills now. And it's nothing I have to do, I have to be good, I'm patient, I have to... No, it's not like that. I have done with my body enough, more than enough. So whatever I have left, I'm happy with. That's
a beautiful attitude about it. The disc degeneration issue is a factor with all jiu-jitsu practitioners. I've had a bunch of disc problems over the years, and I've found some training methods to mitigate it. Specifically, some different pieces of equipment that provide you with spinal decompression. There's a piece of equipment that I talk about all the time on this podcast called the reverse hyper that actually allows you to strengthen all the muscles around the spine, but it actively it decompresses the spine as well at the same time.
Yes. But I like to stay on the pool with weights on my waist and weights on my feet, and the deep pool, and with a flotation device.
Oh, just
so
hang.
I'm hanging on the weight stretching my spine, and I still exercise with the legs. It's been very helpful, but it's just minimizing a little bit, but the problem is there.
Yeah, well, I'm hoping that stem cells get to the point where they can regenerate new tissue in between the discs. I know they've had some success with doing that, but I don't know how much success.
From your lips to God's ears.
Yeah.
Let me know.
Wouldn't it be amazing if you could start rolling again?
Oh, man, unbelievable.
Yeah, every jiu-jitsu guy who gets to a certain age, they reach that point, and except Jean-Jacques. Jean-Jacques is amazing.
Yes.
He's always been so smart in how he trains. He always trains very easy and light. The guy has no injuries.
Yes, he's a good example of a perfect warrior.
He's so smart.
Yes.
In how he trains and just never explodes. Everything is slow progression.
Yes.
Perfect defense.
And you see the knot just tied up around your neck, and eventually say, okay, it's time to tap.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just, it's a very... to me, it's very inspirational how he's managed to avoid injuries.
Yes.
And still can train hard.
Yes, very much.
Do you do any kind of exercise other than the pool stuff nowadays?
I do what we can say the physiotherapy ones, the proper abdominals, sit-ups, and the way I do my like Superman positions for enhance the back. I do some gym work, like machines and stuff, but nothing too crazy.
Do you do any yoga anymore or any of the gymnastica natural?
Yes, I do a little bit, not to enhance mobility, because that can create problems. Yeah. But more for breathing, for the movements, for the circulate the energy. Yes.
You were also probably the first in jiu-jitsu that emphasized flexibility. You were always very, very flexible and mobile.
Yeah, I disagree. It's part of jiu-jitsu. We're all flexible. All the cousins, flexibility was part of the idea of jiu-jitsu. Is a thin tree which the storm comes, they bend and they go back normal. A big tree will fall and break. So you don't want to be hard and tense. You want to be flexible and allow yourself to just smooth your escape out like Houdini. So jiu-jitsu has a lot to do with the mechanism of escaping and development of angles and senses. So all the family is flexible. I really like the biogymnastica and also like the movements, be expressing myself with. So I always like to dance. I like to exercise freely. So I may develop a little more than others, but pretty much it's part of jiu-jitsu being flexible.
But your flexibility was always very extreme, though. Like when you stand on a balance bar and do a standing split and hold your leg up in the air.
Yes.
That's pretty incredible.
Yes, it's a good.
How much of that must have also enhanced your ability to perform certain positions?
I was worried about everything, so I could not let my tightness get away from me to do a position, so I was flexible. And I also very focused. I was the first one to see elastic exercise. I did myself. I didn't know it exists. Now people do elastics a lot, but I was going to the diving shop to buy the diving rubber to put in the spear guns, to take home and making a harness on my head.
Yeah.
So I was working with the functional strength in a very early age.
And you just figured that out on your own?
Yeah, I just figured out.
Because I remember that in choke, that you had that rubber band around your head. You're working on your neck muscles, and that's very similar to a thing that I use now that they sell called the iron neck.
Yes, because when you use the strengthening with elastics, you have a resistance for you to do throws. Because if it's static, but when it's pulling off, you have to do the energy of pulling and moving your hip connected to not losing the momentum. So with the elastics, you have a good training for throws, good training for base, good training for movement, for balance, for neck strength, for shoulder strength. So it's a lot of things coming from the bottom and stretch up with the elastics, make a continuous energy from the functional aspect. So I really like the exercising with elastics because it gives me a complete idea and also flexibility and so on.
But you figured all this out on your own.
Yeah, I'm a lucky, smart guy.
You're a lucky, smart guy, yeah. But it's amazing how many people use them now, though. Strikers, judo guys, all kinds of athletes, they use it for functional training.
Yes. And breathing, too. I see a lot of people, like tennis players, using breathing. So the idea of using breathing functionally makes all the difference, because if you don't know how to breathe, you can be an athlete, but you're going to get caught tired with the blood, not enough blood, oxygen in your blood, in your brain, so you start to making poor decisions and stuff. When you know how to hyperventilate, you change the game of your performance. I increased maybe 40% after learning how to breathe.
40%?
40% solid improvement of how to recover, how to last longer, everything.
It's interesting you say that Style Bender, the UFC middleweight champion, has recently started incorporating breath work, and he said it's made a tremendous difference.
Yes.
And he said, I will never gas out in a fight again. He goes, now I understand how to control my breath.
Yeah, not only gas out, you become much more resilient for fighting, but your brain becomes clear, because when you start to get tired, you don't push oxygen to your brain, so you become dummy and making poor decisions. So functioning in every aspect of your life.
And that's why you decided to title the book Breathe.
Yes. The breathe was maybe the big change in my life. It was when I learned how to breathe. I started to bring in more spiritual possibilities, more mental possibilities. Because what is interesting about the breathing aspect is the brain and the heart are the only organs who can give and receive information. The other organs, liver, kidney, they cannot do that. But when you get upset with something mentally, you bring information to yourself immediately. Your brain is responding. Your heart too, when you get depressed, immediately you feel in your heart. And your heart show you sad, is immediately connection. And what is amazing about that is the lung is the practical aspect within you who are able to control or help your brain and also help your heart. So through the proper breathing, you can control your heartbeats. Through the proper breathing, you can control your mindset and get calmer, control your panic, control your courage, control everything you need in the mental aspect, and also spiritual, hope, faith, visualizations. So all the elements in your brain, all the elements in your heart can be much better guided, much better helped through the lungs. If you don't know how to involve your lungs in your brain, in your breathing, you're not able to favor your brain and your heart the way it's supposed to be.
It's kind of amazing that everybody breathes, but a relatively small percentage of people know how to breathe correctly.
Yes. You're born, you get slapped on your butt, and you think you're live and well and you breathe for life. It's not like that. the first learning you learn about breathing is to move the upper body, the upper part of your lung. If you don't learn, if you don't practice, you're never going to use the diaphragmatic breathing, which involves the full capacity of your lungs. So the diaphragm, when you learn how to move your diaphragm efficiently, you fill up your lungs in a different way. So if I breathe right or wrong, either more or less oxygen, up to me the way I use the diaphragm or not. So when I learn how to use that, I'm able to help my body in whatever needs, mental, spiritual, or physical.
When you, that famous scene in Choke, when you're moving your stomach around with the drums beating, it's really crazy. I love people love that scene.
Yeah.
Because you're using that control of your diaphragm. How did you learn how to do that?
The Orlando Cani.
He taught you how to do that?
He taught me, yes.
And how long did it take before you could move your stomach like that? I know
it's not as difficult.
Crohn can do that too, right?
Yeah, it's not as difficult. You can learn this in no time. You just need the right instruction because it's all about, it's a quick learning, you know. It's just, you have to put some attention. Because when you learn how to breathe, you start adding oxygen to your life. You can stay 7 days without food, 5 days without water, but 5 minutes without air, you're dead. So when you know how to hyperventilate, it's like it's double your life, triple your lifetime, because you not get tired as you want.
When you say hyperventilate, what do you mean by hyperventilate?
I'm here, calm.
Right.
If I do this, I breathe. If I want to go dive, I need to hyperventilate. So I need to because I increase the circulation of oxygen in my body, and I increase the oxygen on the cells. So I do hyperventilation for a little while, and I triple the amount of time I'm going to be under the water.
Mm.
Another important thing for people to learn about breathing is the idea of inhale. The inhale is not the cause, it's the solution. So if I need a full lung, a full breath, I don't want to just do. If I want a full breath, I first need to. Now, I have a full breath. Because if I just start from here, I already have 30% of air inside, which is not, which doesn't empty enough. So in order for me to put it all in, 100% of good air inside, my liveness, my attention has to be on the exhale. Now I'm ready to get there. The effort, the strength on the muscle. If I need to get a big biceps, I need to curl. If I need to have a strong breathing system, I need to exhale. The inhale is natural. Some people, they feel tired. I need air. They go against the flow because they try to bring in, which is already claustrophobic. More I need air, more I, oh my God. So my liveliness, my focus is to take the bad gas out of me. The good gas coming naturally. Some people say, I need air. They need air, but they're already full of bad gas.
Mm.
So, and that's make a big confusion on the right way to the gas come in or out. So my organization in my brain is to put the bad gas out of me. So when I training consistently, I if I'm not effective on the exhale, I'm not going to be effective on the inhale. And the liveliness of my muscle system is the contraction. The contraction is the diaphragmatic breathing. This is a contraction. If I do a curl for get a strong biceps, that's the contraction. When I do this, I relax, contract. So contract, relax. So, and that's giving me a different edge to understand clearly everything around me.
It's interesting because it's so counterintuitive. The body naturally wants just
Yes, and you get panic and claustrophobic.
Panic breathing. And that's you really learn that in jiu-jitsu. Like the good guys all know how to stay calm and breathe well in hard rolls.
Yes, very important.
So did you decide to write this book during the pandemic?
In between elections. Mm-hmm. And you got to know, if you weighed in during this, you made a difference. Like everybody who jumped in and wrote to their representatives and senators and told their buddies about this and asked businesses, why aren't you on that list?
Yeah, you can actually make a difference in this country.
Absolutely. Really and it's not just at the election hash marks.
Yeah.
Like, if people didn't hold our elected accountable, they would have been like, they just want to get this stuff passed. They're like, path of least resistance. There's some really good ass kickers out there on the Democrat and Republican side of things, for sure. But we need to lift those people up in order to get the rest of the coasters involved.
Yeah, and we need to also let people know that this is an issue going forward. Now that we know, this is an issue that can affect whether or not you get elected. You need to know that. Like, we're going to be on you. You can't do this.
Exactly. Like, we're going to be consistent, and we're going to be on your ass.
And now that this has happened and we've had some success and it worked, now people know it'll work. And so now all the Randy Newbergs and all the people that were like really enthusiastic about this, that really did their job, they're getting more support now, and it's going to build. And then we'll be much more aware of whether one of these things is trying to get snuck through in the future.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I would say the early folks, right? Like Randy, I feel like we were kicking ass at Meat Eater, Katie Hill at Outdoor Life, Andrew McKean, Outdoor Life, Travis Hall, Field and Stream. Like, those people were on it.
And you gotta think, all those people have a significant following on social media,
and they have a lot to lose too, man.
Oh yeah.
Yep. National Wildlife Federation, Backcountry Hunters and Anglers, were talking about this way early, and then a lot of other orgs jumped in, and some early Pheasants Forever, Quail Forever, they were awesome. I gotta mention them because they're farm bill oriented hook and bullet organizations. They do an amazing job, but that's largely private side of the fence. And they came out and started talking to their membership about this early. And you kind of get punched in the face. I gotta be honest. Like, we took a lot of shit on the Meat Eater side of things. Runella took a ton of shit.
How so?
Just people being like, one, they're like, Steve, aren't you a Trumper? You can't also support public lands because that's going against Trump.
But this is just people in the comments, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Who are those people?
Oh, way too much time.
Yeah, don't read them. You're dealing with such a small population of morons. The problem with comments is, especially negative comments, it's such a small population, and almost all of them are fucking losers.
I got sucked in, though, because I'm like, I don't know. I was so desperate to make an impact, right? At the end, I'm feeling like I've pulled every frickin' lever that I can.
Yeah.
I'm asking the experts. I'm like, could we get, and this is a screwed up piece of information. I was like, okay, I want to do a Freedom of Information Act request, sue for information for all the senators' offices, and find out how many people called on behalf of public lands and how many people called to sell them off. And I want that information to be public. Well, those offices, they don't have to give over that information, I found out.
Oh.
So, like, where the hell's the accountability on that?
Right.
Yeah, but anyway, I'm going nuts trying to figure out what other levers I could pull. And I would just sit there and be like, okay, I'm going to find one person on the feed and just understand their side of things and see if I can pull them over to my side of things, and maybe that butterfly wing effect will do some sort of good.
You're not those people, yeah, you voted for this. Those people are just trying to win. They're just trying to, like, get you. And they're people that, for whatever reason, thought Kamala Harris would be a good president. And then there's also people that I don't even know if they're real humans. I think there's a lot of this stuff that we have to understand about social media is coordinated bot farms. And so anytime you have a hot button topic that could, you know, maybe get a bill rejected or get a bill passed, it's not organic, the comments. There's some organic comments. Some of these people that are